I'm Dr. Christine Shaver, and I have a rare occasion here where I get to sit down with my partner at Bernstein Medical Center for Hair Restoration in the heart of New York City. Today I've got Dr. Bernstein, who is world-renowned as one of the forefathers of modern-day hair transplantation. And I'm going to just go through a few questions. I think all of us are waiting with bated breath to hear from one of the experts in the fields. So it seems like in a lot of fields in medicine, we're really trending from invasive to non-invasive. Like, do you think there's any room for change in our field? Is hair transplant ever not going to be surgical? And like, how do you see things evolving?
So that's a great question. So when there's cloning, essentially, which will probably happen in 10 or 15 years, that's still going to be a surgical procedure. From the donor area, we can just remove a little bit of hair, multiply it, but it still has to be put in surgically. Okay, but probably 20 years from now, CRISPR technology will evolve from more important medical conditions like the hemoglobin diseases and sickle cell to more cosmetic procedures. The challenge in hair restoration is that the genes for hair loss are multifactorial. CRISPR technology is good when there's a snippet of one gene pair that you can just remove or replace. We actually don't know all the genes that are associated with hair loss. There's something called the androgen receptor gene, which is X-linked, which seems to be the major gene, but there's probably at least a half a dozen other genes that also affect hair loss that are very important. But once those are identified, then it shouldn't be a far stretch to imagine that we'll be able to take out those bad genes. Hair loss will be prevented, and then essentially our field will kind of go to the way of the dinosaur, and that would actually be ideal. That would be wonderful for patients.
And that X-linked receptor gene that's well known, this is probably the reason why everybody thinks it comes from your mother's side, correct? Yes. You know, when you're a man, you inherit an X and a Y. So that very well publicized gene you're getting from your mother's side, that X chromosome. So everyone often comes to me and says, my mom's side's fine. You know, my mother's uncle, my mother's brother has full head of hair. Why am I thinning? It's not like that. It's a polygenic, very complex trait, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, patients often ask, does hair loss come from the mother's side? And I say yes, but also the father's side.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that there's probably 60% of the time it's from the mother's side and 40% of the time it's from the father's. But that difference is what has caused the misconception that it's only from the mother's side, but it can be from both.
It's very interesting. Well, I know you have many patients to see today, so we'll let you go for the time being. Sure. But you know, we're very thankful for the wisdom that you were able to share with us today.
Nice chatting. We're always working together, but it's fun to sit down and chat.
It's fun to sit down and do a little casual, one-on-one. So anyway, I'm very lucky to have him here.
And me too.